Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the OddCast podcast. My name is Patrick Kaiser, and I am an author with autism. And today I am also the birthday boy. Yeah. I'm here with.
Happy
Oh, thank
birthday.
you, thank you. I'm here with the only choice for a voice, Mr. Mark Harrietha,
Hello, hello. Nice to see you guys.
and our interviewee for this evening is Miss Sarah Grace, author of The One Who Calls Me Anne.
Excellent.
Hi, everyone.
And Elena or ES Barrison will be in a little later. Yeah. Sarah is a high school indie author, and she's also a Christian and lives in Arizona, correct? Gotcha. Yeah, and she writes her first book is a thriller. Would you want to go first, Mark, and ask her, shoot her a question?
Sure. First off, how's the weather in Arizona? Is it nice?
It is unfortunately getting hotter in February. It should not be this hot. It was, I think, 85 today is what my car said. Should not be that hot in February.
I am jealous. I live in Canada, so
wow.
I've got like a foot and a half of snow right now. So,
Yeah.
I like to try to live vicariously through people who live in warm weather climate. So my first question is, with this being your first novel, who are some of your favorite authors and influences for your writing? Who do you like to read?
My favorite authors is Luann Rice, who wrote Pretend She's Here, which was a big inspiration for my book. It has, I wouldn't say a similar plotline, but it was definitely like an inspiration for me, and it kind of got me interested in the thriller style of books. And it's one of the things that made me want to write this book in the first place. So I love writing her. I've only read that one book of hers, but another author that I've read a lot of is Joanne Charbonneau, who wrote the Testing trilogy. I really like her first person style of writing, which is not commonly used in a lot of novels, and it really like drew me in, and so that was an inspiration for me to use first person in my own novel.
Nice. I personally, as a narrator, I love first person. I think when you're in a first person perspective, it allows me as an actor to kind of really just chew into the thoughts and the feelings and all of the emotion in the role, and you can really start to play it more as a character versus the just third party narration, which tends to be a little bit more removed. So that's awesome. Thank you, Patrick. How about you?
Yeah. First off, to throw in my 2 cents there, I'm from Missouri, so I get the blend of both. So
there you go.
Yeah. I just had a question for you. So what's it like being an author in high school?
It's pretty cool. A lot of people who I don't normally talk to have come up and talked to me about my book. They've said congratulations. They haven't necessarily bought the book, but it's just nice to be interacting with more people, just to kind of like connect with them in a different way, and they kind of get to know me better, and it's kind of a starting point for us to talk, so I get to know them better themselves. And then teachers have been very supportive. 2 of my teachers actually are in my acknowledgements in the back of my book because they've been such inspirations for me, and they've helped talk me through the process of writing this book and getting it published. And they've just been there to like listen in. So it's been nice to have a community of people to talk to and to listen to about the book.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, we talked about it a little bit before we started. I wish I could have gotten my books published and out there in high school, but I just didn't have the confidence in myself to really do that. So.
Nice. So speaking of that, are any of the people that you've kind of met or interacted with in high school, are they characters in your book, or am I giving too much away?
None of the characters are anyone. When I was trying to write my dedication in the very beginning of the book, the first the second page, I think. I was trying to figure out like who I wanted to dedicate it to. And then I started thinking about the people in the book, and I realized that Cecilia, who is the sister to Emily, who kind of has some of the same tendencies as me, I was thinking about who would be like the closest person to that in my life. And I thought of my friend of 6 years so far, Ella, and she's been a rock in my life. She's my sister in Christ, and I love spending every moment that I get with her. And I realized that she is like my Cecilia. She's not exactly Cecilia. They have different tendencies, thoughts, actions, but if there was someone who would be inspired, who Cecilia would be inspired by, it would definitely be her.
Nice. Awesome.
Gotcha. Yeah. So writing a thriller like this book is, are you into like reading or watching thriller stuff or crime shows or anything like that? Like, do you get like inspiration from that stuff?
Yeah, I watch a lot of sci-fi, I guess you could call it, in different ways. They're all thrillers, but they're like different genres. So I watch a lot of I watch some like Marvel stuff, which has that thriller aspect to it. I watch kind of like Lifetime style stuff, which is very thrillerish. And then some of ABC shows like Once Upon a Time, that's definitely something that I grew up with as a little kid. And it's something that just kind of influenced my writing as I was rewatching it, that I got a lot of my writing style from that show. And so I picked up a lot of things from that and a lot of Marvel stuff. I like the romances and all the thriller stuff. And if anything, that gave me inspiration to just, and something to like thrive off of and keep going, push it further.
Gotcha.
Nice. I noticed on your bio that you mentioned that you do like choreography. You like to do a lot of choreography and some of that. Do you have a favorite style of dancing? Like, I only say this because my daughter's a dancer for years and years and years, so I'm actually have a little bit of knowledge, believe it or not. So,
for dancing purposes, I love jazz and kind of like the upbeat stuff, but I do a lot of ballet. However, for choreography, I tend to find myself doing more contemporary lyrical or contemporary ballet-ish pieces.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, my daughter was actually jazz and ballet as well. So that's kind of nice. Neat.
Yeah. So this book is about two sisters, mainly. They're the focal points. Do you have any siblings, or have you gotten like have you stolen some bits from like your own personal experiences?
Yeah, I have two older siblings. They are actually a little bit older. We have like a 16-year age difference. So there are definitely some aspects that I drew in because Cecilia is definitely like has that maturity, and there is definitely a big age difference between Emily and Cecilia, even though it's only about 5 years. So there is kind of like a little gap there, but they still find a way to connect with each other and to find that familial love, even though it may be a little bit more difficult.
Yeah. Huh. That's cool. Yeah. I have two older sisters myself, so and we have a decent age gap too. So
see, I'm the opposite. I'm the oldest. I have two younger brothers. One's a year and a half younger than me, and the other one's 8 years younger than me. So
nice.
Yeah. So, when you're writing, I mean, thrillers, they can have these sort of heavier themes, right? And they're dealing with a lot of heavier things. So do you find yourself kind of when you get into that mode, when you're done kind of writing, you need to recharge and you need to kind of get away from some of that darker material and into some happier stuff. What are some things you like to do to kind of recharge after a session like that, where you're dealing with some of that heavier topics?
Yeah, I typically, while I'm writing, I tend to listen to lighter stuff so that always in the back of my brain, I'm remembering that I'm not actually there, that I'm like a person writing it. And so I'm just kind of, that's in the back of my head. And the music kind of like keeps me upbeat, but it also keeps me focused. So I do that. But then when I'm done, I typically just like take a few minutes to myself, just kind of relax, not sleep necessarily, but just take a few minutes. I may turn on like some YouTube, something comedy wise, just to get my brain off of it.
Yeah, you have to do it, right? Like you can't be stuck in that mode the whole time. And I like the idea of music. I may have to try that. Some of my productions that I've done, you get so engrossed in the characters, and by the time you're done, you're wiped. You're like, I don't want to talk to people. I don't want to, because you're just in this mindset. So that's a really good idea.
Yeah, my Crimson Minds trilogy, which Mark is actually working on right now. Once I got to book 3, like I got a couple chapters in, and I was like, okay, I'm kind of getting burnt out on this world. Like this is just too heavy for me. Like I feel like I need to take a shower after I write this.
Time to write about rainbows and unicorns and
right,
a little happier stuff.
So like as a thriller writer myself, twists are a big part both for the author and the reader. So like I loved coming up with these fantastic twists that I thought nobody would anticipate. Do you have anything like that in your book that you're willing to share? Don't like give too much away, but just anything.
Absolutely. Out? It's a thriller suspense novel, so I end every single chapter on a cliffhanger. Some are better than others, but nonetheless, every chapter has a cliffhanger. So I feel like that really keeps the reader wanting to go to the next chapter and keep it going. From a lot of people who have read the book, they said that really worked for them. So that's good. Yeah.
Nice. So what was your favorite part of writing the book? Do you have a favorite section of the book, or, that kind of really speaks to you, or?
I really liked writing, I don't know, I guess the romance. It was very open. You could do whatever you wanted. And I'm kind of tired of the typical romance thing where the first book they get together and the third book they get back together happily ever after. So that's just kind of something that's been used a lot. And so I kind of just want to break away from that. And just for one, since the romance is kind of like a side plot, it's something that's more, you can rely on it, even though that's not necessarily realistic. In the future books to come, there will be a few issues with that, but just something to like keep it more sunshine and rainbows to the thriller aspect.
Yeah. It's you're right. That's a trope that's been used not just in novels, but in movies and everything. I mean, you turn on any sort of romantic comedy or any movie like that, you can almost follow the arc. And here's where things are going well, and here's where the rug gets pulled out from under them, and here's where they're back together. And yeah, it's very formulaic. So I like the fact that you recognize that, and that you're trying to do something that's a little bit more kind of modern and unconventional to that kind of, I'd almost want to say stereotype. So very cool.
Yeah. So is this going to be is this the first book in a series, or like, are you planning like new series, or what's your next project?
It is the first book in the series. Yeah, it is the first book in the series. It's going to be quite, I'm planning on 8 books because it's called the Together series. And so I wanted each of the books to start with the first letter in the word, each letter in the word together. So the one who in the next book, and then we put them all together, they'll have together. Just kind of to go along with that togetherness theme. So basically, the one who calls me M is like more of a prologue, so to speak, because the storyline, the way that goes with those scenarios that she's in, it's very one book. And so I wanted to like expand it. But something that I find with series, especially long ones, is that people get tired of the genre. So I was thinking if the genre a little bit to give it something new and fresh, that it's something new in every book, it would be interested, hopefully.
That's a really good idea. I really like that. I mean, the fact of not keeping everything in the thriller or anything like that, but maybe branching out into a more of just a straight fiction, or into a YA sort of book, or a romance, and maybe focusing on the romance a little bit. Like, I mean, that is a really neat idea, and I think you're right. I think it'll hook readers to continue, because it is something fresh every single time. So that's great. Well, Patrick stole my question. I was going to ask you what you're working on now. So I'm going to have to come up with something else on the fly here. But
Sorry.
that's okay. So when you're not writing or working, what are some things you like to do in your downtime?
Well, writing is actually typically what I do in my downtime because my work, so to speak, is when writing is actually what I do to recharge. But other than that,
Nice.
I typically, if I just need some time alone, I'll just put in my AirPods and I'll just listen to music. Or if I need to recharge from writing, which is my recharge, I'll just put on something mindless, YouTube for like a few minutes just to change my mind, just to change my mindset. I also love baking. I do a lot
Nice.
of cakes for family or just normal family get-togethers, and it's something fun that it's also kind of draining, so I don't know if I'd really consider it recharging. But yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Baking.
Nice.
Oof. I'm in trouble.
Wait, you getting hungry?
I am. I'm going to have to go get a piece of cake or something after this.
Nice.
So.
Yeah, I really love like the idea, like the whole just mixing up genres. Yes, but the thing that stuck out to me that you just said is like the fact of like the T, the O, the word together being like the format that you're going off of. It's like that's a really cool idea. I like that.
Thank you.
So to shift gears a little bit from the book itself to more you as the author. A question I have is, when, not if, very important distinction there. When you become a bestseller, what is a charity or cause you want to use to do philanthropy for? Like, what are you passionate about?
I would definitely love to support an organization called Feed My Starving Children. It is an organization that I volunteered for, actually. I just did it yesterday at my church, and it was so fun. They basically have teams of packers where they pack food, and they ship it off to these countries, and they make sure that the children who most need it get the food. And it's actually very good. I mean, there's vitamins, veggies, soy, and rice in each
Nice.
in each of these meals. And they before each session, they show everyone the statistics because 1 in 9 children is not okay. So that is something that's like on my heart always, and I love to volunteer for them because I know that it's making a difference to some kids out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's super important, especially with everything going on. Like that is really nice, awesome stuff. So I guess in terms of your book, I see. I mean, you're on Amazon, I'm assuming, and where can people find your book?
Yes, I am published on Amazon, so the only place to find it is Amazon.
All right. And just not to toot my own horn or anything, but is there an audiobook coming in the future?
Maybe we'll see. I've thought about it. I just haven't found a person to do it. So
well, I'm not going to recommend myself. Patrick knows with me having done a couple of his books already. Girl voices are not my forte, not even remotely. But I actually, if you'd like, I could get you in touch with some of the female narrators I know, and we can see if maybe that's something you'd like to do.
Yeah,
Awesome.
sounds great.
So as a Christian author, how do you balance like not crossing the lines in your belief system, but like still giving a thriller the weight and the gravitas and severity that it needs? Like, how do you balance that out?
Yeah, great question. That was one of my struggles as I was going through it. I know that I wanted to include my faith in this book, but I didn't exactly know how to do it because sometimes Christians can be seen as overbearing, and that is something that I did not want to happen. I wanted to come away with the same thing, but also to get an idea of what Christianity is like, because sometimes I feel like Christians in today's culture are so, I don't know, misrepresented or misunderstood because they see us as hypocrites or people who don't follow their own beliefs. So, which can be true in some cases. And so I just feel like representing it right is a key factor. So in my book, I tried to start introducing the faith aspect about probably a third or halfway through. That made sure that people were getting into the storyline, and then the faith would come so that they could see it as more, it's there, but it's not overbearing, so to speak. And from there, it goes on where it is, the themes are based off of it, but you don't have to be a Christian. But it does show my faith and what's important to me. And it shows for other Christians out there, it's something they can relate to. And hopefully it paints a better picture for those who are reading it about Christianity.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with that. But like, not being overbearing with it is a very important piece. I also am a Christian author, and I try really hard not to cross too many boundaries. But I also, I think, unlike you, I kind of am not a fan of organized religions. So I'm a firm believer in Christ and read the Bible and all that stuff. But like, I'm not a fan of the way modern churches are. So.
Yeah, I get that.
So, anyway, sorry. Go ahead, Mark.
Oh no, I'm just listening. This is great. So you mentioned that putting your faith was important into the book, and I totally agree with that. What were some of the ways, without giving away too many hints, what was kind of the most meaningful aspect of your faith that you wanted to get into the book?
Well, there's a whole chapter basically where she's questioning her faith. She hasn't been a Christian. Like, she kind of went to church growing up, but she wasn't like a real Christian, so to speak. She didn't actually put her faith in her Lord. So I wanted to kind of show that, because I feel like that's where a lot of people are today. So I feel like a lot of people can relate to that. And so this one chapter is really important to me. I believe it's chapter 13, where she's grasping with seeing God, believing him, trusting him. And that's kind of like the main chapter that it's in. I just wanted to give people an idea of that everyone questions their faith, whether you've been believing for your whole life or you've just started. It's something typical, and just kind of to see how that goes, and then to see how he, like in my life, how he's shown himself to me through these ways that you don't even see until you stop and think about it.
Yeah. That's beautiful. That's really well done. Nice.
Trying to think what else I got. So if perchance, bad way to say it, but if one of the authors you enjoy passed untimely, and for whatever reason the family decided, and then they left a series unfinished, and the family basically said, we need to find an author to finish the series, and they chose you. Like, what series and author would you love to like take up the mantle for? Like, what would you, anybody like that?
Yeah, well, unfortunately her series is finished, but if she was still writing it, Kira Cass is the author of The Selection, which is a book I got into about like 3-4 years ago. I love that whole world and the way she set it up, and I would love to continue that if it was still open, but I believe she's done with it now. So.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that was just a question based off of kind of so Brandon Sanderson, I don't know if you've heard of him, but he actually got to finish Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time series. So that was what made me think of that. So.
Yeah, he did the last, I think the last 3 books.
3, yeah.
Yeah. I'm a huge Wheel of Time fan. I own them all. I've read them multiple times. So yeah. But when speaking of writing in your process, do you tend to start with kind of like a fully fleshed outline, or are you kind of like one of those writers that just I'm going to sit at my I almost said typewriter. That tells you how old I am. Sit at your computer and just start going and see what happens, or do you kind of have an idea of your story beforehand?
So my first book was, I didn't know I wanted to publish it. So I just started writing, which worked out great for the first few. Actually ran into a roadblock where I was like, how do I do this? Because typically want to have some sort of framing from the beginning to end and make it like a cohesive piece. And so I just had to create an outline. I'm a really organized person. So I did create an outline. It was loose. And I actually looked back on it a month ago, what my original outline was, and I followed it. And then all of a sudden I just like skipped like a bunch because I realized I wanted to put that stuff in the next book.
Okay.
And so for this next book, I have more of an outline that I'm going off of, because it's a new concept. So it's a little bit more complicated. So there are some stuff that I need to like refer to. And so I don't have to keep checking back what I wrote before.
Yeah, I would think that would make things a little bit easier. Is you kind of start with your idea and kind of start to build an outline around that, and then, because I would think that just sitting down and just blah, here's 400 pages, would be crazy, and I don't think very many people could do that. How about you, Patrick? Do you have an outline when you write, or do you just kind of fly by the seat of your pants?
I'm kind of a mix. So basically, the way I say it is, I'm kind of like, for me, writing a book is like driving in the fog with your headlights on. You can only see a little bit ahead of you, but you can make the entire journey that way. So I kind of go from that
Great
point.
analogy.
And it's also kind of like just a cross-country road trip. It's like, I know which main stops I want to make. So like I want to stop in New York or Las Vegas or the big cities, that kind of thing. I know the big bullet points, but then I just kind of let the map or kind of let the road take me where it's going to take me. So it's that kind of thing.
That's a really good analogy. That's great.
I like to let my characters be more real and live for themselves rather than me like saying, oh, this little detail, this little detail, this little detail is all going to be a part of this. It's like I want to let them kind of tell their own story when I write. So.
And would you agree with that, Sarah? Like, would you kind of say that your characters, you're more of a, I'm going to build kind of the outer shell, but really wherever the story takes them, they kind of flush themselves out from there?
Yeah, my outline is super loose. It's literally 24 bullet points with like some side notes. It is basically just like what's going to happen. And then I typically have a similar process. Sometimes I'll just have to stop though and think like, what do I want to happen? Because I have to figure out how to connect it. But then in other places where I'm like, I generally know what I want to happen, I just go for it. But if there's a place where it needs to be connected to somewhere, to the next one, then I typically sit down and think about it a little bit more, so that saves time in the editing process later.
Yeah, nice. Did you do the editing on the book yourself?
Oh,
yeah.
There she is.
And then I had one of my friends, she helped me edit it. A second set of eyes there as well.
Very awesome.
Okay, before we get on to the next question, Miss Elena Barrison has joined us.
Yeah, sorry about that. Fridays are weird days for me.
It's okay. So yeah, Sarah Grace, Elena Barrison. So pretty much the heart and soul of the entire indie author community. So, so you have any questions for Sarah? Elena?
I'll let you guys continue so I know I'm not repeating some of the questions, then I'll jump in.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, whose turn is it?
It would be your turn, sir.
That's my turn. Okay. Trying to think of what I want to ask.
Say, you guys got all such great backgrounds, and here I am with just them in my studio, and I'm like, okay. Jeez.
Yeah, I don't think I think we've asked pretty much all the questions I had. So pretty much what we've asked Elena is we talked a little bit about like the process of writing. We talked about her faith as a writer, being a writer in high school, because she's a high schooler. We've talked about the book itself and talked a little bit about like the story and stuff. So even if you ask something if it's repeated from the questions we've already asked, doesn't matter. We'll just either say we've talked about it or give us brief synopsis, Sarah, if you want to just come up with something. So,
Yeah.
the floor is yours.
Fine. Let's see I guess what's the biggest inspiration what inspired you the most? I guess, I mean, I know being a high school writer, there's so much going on, but what inspired you, I guess, to write a story? That's probably the best.
Well, what inspired me to write thrillers specifically is just seeing other thrillers and seeing how far they can go and all the twists they can throw in. And it's really motivating to see of all the crazy things that people can come up with.
Yeah.
And so I think, I can probably challenge myself with that. But as far as writing, like how I first got into it, I wanted to be a writer in like first grade. When my first grade teacher had like these little writing contests. Of course, they were like really simple because they were like first grade, of course. But it really set like the foundation. And from there, I just wanted to keep writing stories. And they weren't that great, but they were first grade stories. But from there, they just kind of grew on top of themselves. And then it kind of like took like a backseat for a while as I developed my love for choreography. And then I realized that I love writing too, and I want to do both because writing is my way to recharge. So then I got into the thriller writing, and that was something that really drew my attention and something that's keeping my attention as I continue to write.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, if you have any questions for us, Sarah, feel free to ask them as well. Just me and Elena are authors, and Mark is a voice actor. You can ask pretty much anything. And so,
I have a question.
Yeah, I actually had a question for you. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So I was gonna ask, how do you guys get in like your mood? Like I've already mentioned that I do a lot of like music, and that kind of helps me like stay focused in it. But how do you guys get in your mood for like writing or voice acting? How do you get in like your focus?
Who wants to go first?
I guess I will.
Okay.
I guess my thing is just kind of. So I have autism, and my brain is constantly like going a million miles a minute. So eventually, every thought and thought chain just ends up on one of my stories. So I just kind of, once I hit that point, it's like, oh, I gotta get to my computer and I gotta write. It's like I gotta get this on the page. It's like that kind of thing for me. So, but I'm constantly thinking about like how I want to better my stories and stuff, and what scene I need to do next. So.
How about you, ES? Let the authors go first.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's become almost more routine. And I think, especially when because I started writing, like, novel length things when I was in high school and everything and going to college. And I didn't quite develop a routine until I started, working and having to do all those adult things. So for me, my writing zone is very much between the hours of like, I'd say like 8:30 at night to like 10:30 at night. And it becomes very much a routine in a way. Like, okay, I sit down in this spot in my house, open up my laptop, and that's the time when I feel like I can get in the zone. But I'm one of the weird writers. I mean, maybe I'm not that weird, but I don't listen to music really. I just kind of write because it distracts me too much. So it's kind of like having that routine gets me into that place. And I think it was important for me to develop that, because otherwise finishing up work for the day and then going on and writing, if you don't have that routine, you can just be overwhelmed with how much you're working on.
Nice. All right. Mine's weird. You get ready for this. So when I'm thinking about character work and everything, one of the skills I've in a lot of the acting classes that I've done and things is you can almost equate people to an animal, right? If they're really bouncy and hyper, you can almost think of them almost like a rabbit, or if they're the evil villain, maybe they're a tiger or they're a snake or something. So that helps me get some of the more instinctual mannerisms. And then an exercise that I learned from an actress by the name of Christine Horn, she was like, every character is a part of you, but they're not you. So get into the habit of actually stepping out of yourself and stepping into that character. And so it sounds really weird, but I will actually physically stand there and pretend that I'm unzipping and step out, and I reach over and I pull this one on, and this is now me in that character, and everything changes. My mannerisms change, the way I talk changed. And then the other thing I have is on my studio, I have the ability to, let me just make sure I got the right one. There we go. Change the colors in my studio to match my mood. So that one's really bright. There we go. So I play around with the little things like that, but even, with the character side of things, like, in one of Patrick's most recent books, I got to play Death. So for him, it was very commanding and very bold, but I was also very close to the microphone and like grabbing my hands and talking through clenched teeth. And it was really this idea of Death hated the main character. So I had to really hate this microphone for the time that I was recording that. So they kind of do those sort of things to kind of get you out of it and get you into that character. So
you did a fantastic job on that book as well, by the way.
It was tough on the voice, but
his death, especially with the effects that his editor added afterwards, it's like, it's chilling. It's like, I wrote it and I'm just like, like I'm intimidated. That's how good it is. Anyway, sorry, go ahead, Mark.
Oh, I was just going to say, so do you watch, you said you watched a lot of thriller, like movies and stuff. Is there a thriller that you've maybe watched where the twist or the surprise took you completely off guard and you were like, wow, I did not, like, that was insane? What would be your favorite thriller movie, I guess?
I have a lot of those. Well, a show that's just kind of on my mind because I've just finished, actually, I think a couple days ago. It's a little bit older. It came out in 2020. It's called Big Sky, based off of the Highway series. And oh my goodness, the first episode ends on the cliffhanger that I never expected. And then I had to go eat dinner afterwards. And that was annoying. But that really gravitated me towards the show. So that's one of the ones that's more recent.
I think the one for me, and I don't want to date myself too much here, but I would say if you guys have ever seen the movie Primal Fear, it's got Ed Norton and Richard Gere in it. And the twist in that one, and I've seen the movie probably about 10, 15 times, the twist in that one still gets me. I'm still like, what the? Oh, come on. Right. So check it out if you get a chance.
Yeah. Mine would probably have to be, probably Now You See Me had a really good twist.
Yes.
If you ever seen that one.
Yeah, that one was
that
good.
one I didn't see coming. I was just like, wait, what?
Yeah, that one was
I did
pretty
not
good.
see this coming, but then
That
it makes
one was
sense
good.
after the fact. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think which one would be mine because I've read more thrillers recently than I've watched them. So it's been
You
Yeah,
could
also,
pick a book. You pick a book.
yeah.
then.
Well, I read last year. I read The Silent Patient, and that one, like, as soon as the twist came up at the end, and it's by Alex Michaelides, I think his last name is. My mom had read the book already. I called her up immediately. I'm like, what? I did not expect this at all, and just couldn't stop talking about it to her for a while. And that's the one that sticks in my mind. I mean, of course, I've watched like The Sixth Sense years ago, but I mean, that's one of the classic twists that everyone, once you know the twist, then it's not that much of a twist anymore.
Yeah.
Another one I like is Red Notice from the Netflix movie. That one also feels kind of like, it kind of has that same like Now You See Me type of twist. It's like, I didn't expect this, but in retrospect, it makes sense.
Yeah,
So-
it makes total sense. Yeah. So awesome. What other questions?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I know they already talked about a bit of your high school writing experience. I'm kind of curious, just like, I don't know if you've already talked about how you balance all that and everything, because I know
Oh, good
any
question.
type of schooling could be.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, I know when I was in college, for instance, it just completely fell off for me. So I'm just curious how you balance it in high school and hope to manage it.
Yeah, good question. So right now we're doing a lot of writing, so I haven't had as much inspiration to write because from what I've been writing, I've been using all my writing energy on that, and then when I'm done, I don't really want to write. I want to relax and do something else. So that hasn't really happened. We didn't have a lot of writing stuff to do, so I found some time and I got my computer and I wrote about a chapter, and so that was good for me. And I use my weekends are busy, but so I try to use like all the sporadic breaks that we have in the school year as time to just, okay, this is my zone. I'm gonna just write. I'm not gonna do anything else. Just this, and then school can come when we get back in session. And
Yeah.
That's probably the best way to handle it.
So I got a question for you that I thought of. So do you have like a support group that like really just like backs you up on your passion for writing, and like basically it's just like anything you write I'm gonna buy, I'm gonna support? Like, do your friends and family like are they really supportive, or like do you have people that kind of just like really like maybe you should choose a real career or something?
yeah, I have a few close friends that are always open to talk with me about it. We've talked for hours and hours about my book, and they love it. They love reading. They're the type that loves reading, and I'm the type that loves writing, so it works. But then there's also a couple who don't necessarily like reading, but they still talk about it because they like storylines and they want to hear about it. Friends in that area that I'm very lucky to have. And then my family has also been very supportive. My closer, more immediate family. They've wanted to buy it. They've wanted to give it. They've been talking about it nonstop. They've wanted signed. So my family's definitely been very supportive in that.
Awesome. Yeah, for me personally, I've got like my main support group, like very close friends. I have 3 of them, and then just my family, and of course my fiance. But like everybody else that I've known throughout my life, and my big group of friends are people I called friends, but they weren't really good friends. But they basically just were like, cool, you're a writer, awesome. And like if I ever asked them like, hey, do you want a free book in exchange for a review, they'd be like, no, I don't want to read your stuff. Yeah. It's like, really? Okay, well, whatever.
Yeah.
So
Sorry, I'm thinking of a question. Like, I had the question and it went away. I was like,
I could see it, yeah. See the wheels turning.
Yeah, it was right there. Wow.
And it was probably the best question ever.
Probably.
Yeah.
Okay, what have been your biggest struggles with writing your book? That's probably one I like to hear.
I guess the storylines come easy to me. That is just something that kind of happens naturally. It's mainly having the confidence to put my writing out there and not kind of like going into self-destruct mode and thinking that people are just going to hate on it. And then B, just trying to get the word out at the same and just trying to get the word out that it's there, because I don't necessarily care about the money that I make from it. I want people to just read it and to learn stuff from it and to enjoy the characters and to laugh, to cry, all of that. So that's more of a struggle because I just want that. And so I'm having trouble, I guess, finding ways to promote it.
Yes, I feel like that's a struggle that a lot of writers go through, just figuring out what you define as success and how do you reach that point of success.
Mm-hmm. So, in regards to reviews, how do you handle like any negative reviews? And if you haven't received any negative reviews yet, like do you Like, are you one of those authors that like says, I want to read my reviews, or are you the one that goes, I'd rather just avoid all kinds of feedback and just go with my own thing?
I do some things that can be constructive, even in the negative ones. There can be some good stuff to take away with it, even though it hurts. Because sometimes there is stuff that is true. But then other times it's just people hating. And you just got to realize that if they're hating, there's a reason behind it. And it could be your writing, but you have to remember of all the people who love it and all the people who are in your corner, all of the people that are there and that love it and that will constantly tell you that. And not because they're your friend, but because they actually believe that, and you can tell. And so I like to look at them, but I don't necessarily believe them.
That's a good way to do it. I do the same. I'll go on every month or so and just kind of look at, what are people saying about the books I've narrated, and what do they like? What do they not like? And if there's something valid that I was like, yeah, you know what? I could see how that would be a problem or that. But to your point, if it's just somebody who's like, I don't like that guy. He sounds too Canadian. Well, there's a reason for that. So thanks. Which is actually, believe it or not, a 1-star review I got for a book was that I sounded too Canadian.
Really?
So I was like, whatever. Like, okay.
Hey, I got a 1-star once that said that like the book arrived and it smelled like poop. So it's like that was the only reason they gave me 1 star. It's like, that's not my problem. It's not about the book.
I had a 1-star that says they loved everything about the book. 1 star.
I've had that too. Mark was great. Loved the narration. The character work was awesome. 1 star. What is? Yeah. So.
But that's, since you are in high school, that's so mature of you to think of it that way. Because I know, as myself, when I was in high school, I hadn't published anything, but I knew, like, looking at myself back then, any review would have just like destroyed me. So applause. That's very mature and applaud worthy.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat. Like if I was in a play or something like that, and somebody said, I didn't really like the way you did this. That's it. Ruined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it definitely takes a while, and whether any type of art, to be ready to take that negative feedback. So it definitely is something.
I read something recently. So I've been reading recently a book called Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. And if you guys get a chance, check it out. It's a fantastic book. But in it, and it was written in like the 30s, but it was only just recently published. But basically in it, he corners the devil into giving him the secret to success, right? And it's talking about mindset and positivity. But one of the things that they said in that was, in every defeat, there is a seed of opportunity. And so what you were saying there about the quicker you can get to that point of understanding that, yeah, you know what, that was a negative review, or yeah, you know what, somebody didn't like that, but try to find what is that seed of opportunity, or what is that seed of positivity that we can pull from, and it just helps you in that kind of alignment of purpose. So check it out if you get a chance, though. Yeah, really.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is like, you first, Sarah. Sorry.
Okay. And I think it's also helped that I've grown up in a dance background, because I grew up with criticism and constructive feedback to help you get better. Because in dance, you're never going to be perfect. I mean, in life, you're never going to be perfect. And that's a skill that dance kind of teaches you, is how to take that healthy criticism.
We lost her.
So do we just like soft shoe, maybe do a little dance or something?
Right, halftime show.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's give her a few minutes and see if she hops back in.
Yeah, in case the connection comes back.
Anyway, so we'll talk about probably some other stuff in the meantime. So I guess one question for UES is, did you receive those links I gave you to the audiobooks?
No, but I purchased the audiobook. Your most recent one.
Gotcha. Here she is.
Yeah.
She's back.
Yeah.
Hi, my bad.
Oh,
Okay,
there
cool.
she is.
There you are.
Sorry about that.
I don't know what happened. My screen just went black, and it's plugged in. So what happened there? But I'm back.
Weird.
Oh,
It's dropping so much truth that the computer just went, I'm done. We're done here.
Right? Computer said nope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, where were we? What were we talking about? I forget.
So Sarah was talking about dance and the criticism and needing and how
Yeah.
not being perfect.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if you finished that thought, but before your screen went blank. But
Yeah, I believe so. Just that's helped me learn some skills in my writing, that there is constructive criticism, and that kind of like how to take it and not take it personally, so to speak, but to help you grow.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's super, super impressive of someone, still in high school and in your age who's, able to already be at that space that I was probably in my 30s by the time I got there. So, kudos to you.
Yeah, it's just like in high school, it's like perception of everybody else's perception of you is the end all be all. It's the end of the world, or it can make the world. And it's like once you get out of high school, you're like, wow, high school really wasn't as important as I thought. So
then you become an adult and realize that nobody's perception of you matters. Like it,
exactly.
As long as you're happy, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Exactly.
So speaking of dance, how has dance inspired your writing at all?
Yeah, I think
Even indirectly.
I try to find a good mix between the two, because choreography and dance is more of like my work, so to speak. It's something, if I'm stressed out about it, that's good. I like being stressed out about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then writing is something more that it stresses me out, it's something that I don't like to do. So I like to, that's kind of my recharge, and I don't want it to be stressful. So as far as dance and writing, I guess that I have written some short stories that do include dance. And I think that gives me a little bit of a unique perspective. But in this book, I don't know if there's specifically anything tying that, except that in dance, you're kind of coming up with storylines and movement. And in writing, you're actually writing those storylines.
So what you're saying is M does not defeat the bad guy through a dance-off. That's not how the book ends. Not gonna lie, I'm a little disappointed right now. Like,
but now you have an idea for a future book.
Oh my God, there you go. In terms of like what you were talking about earlier in changing genres a little bit. It's a wicked dance off. There it is.
Just have to figure out how to write it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was not to go off on a sidebar there, but when they did that in Guardians of the Galaxy, lost my mind. I thought that was the funniest thing I had ever seen.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. It's like
in my life.
Yeah,
it's a dance off, bro. Yeah. I was like, oh no. How can I work this into my everyday life?
Right. And even when no one's looking, just dance.
Yeah. Yeah. I need to challenge somebody to a dance off. New life goal. Right.
I go do that to the president later.
There you go. Well, I'm not allowed over the border, so
yeah, right.
Yeah. The borders are closed still for us, so we couldn't come over if we wanted to.
Wow. Yeah. Well, does anybody else have any questions? Like Sarah, do you have any questions for us? Does any of you guys have any questions for her?
No, this has been great. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah,
so I did think of a way to promote you, Sarah, at least as best I can. So for everybody who buys one of Sarah's books for the rest of the month, so once March hits, deal is over. But if you buy it before then and you send me a screenshot of your purchase, I will send you a free code for one of me and Mark's audiobooks. So
very cool.
Buy Sarah's book,
really
and you'll get a free audiobook out of the deal. So
very cool.
So, yeah.
And you know what? I will kick in as well. So in addition to one of your audiobooks, I will give, I think I still have some codes available on my Amazon bestseller Scar. the deep sea thrillers. So
Yeah.
I have
I
codes
will
for my audiobook too. So
I will throw in a code for
Right.
Scar.
So that's 3 books for buying 1. So
That's so sweet of
So-
you guys. Thank you.
no problem. We just hope it'll give you some sales. So, well, anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. This has been a great conversation, Sarah. We're really happy for you, and we really are hoping that your book does well, and that we're looking forward to
you.
sequels and stuff. So,
Yes.
love is the mission statement. Hashtag make it echo. Use the hashtag make it echo and spread the love and support indie authors and creatives and all the people that in your life. Anyway, we will catch you guys later. So,
Bye.
bye.